So, if you're new to joining us, welcome. Say hi in the chat so I know you're here. If you're new to the stream, we've been working on building out an application from scratch. We started out with next to nothing, actually literally nothing. I just had the IDEs installed on my machine. We walked through Visual Studio Code, and JetBrains Writer. We then spent a while building out our app, and I think it's been about 2 months now. Typically, it won't take that long. We're just doing it in hour-long increments. We started building out the model, then business layer, management layer, data, built out some links. If there's any resources that we use during the stream, we added them here, like Entity Framework Core, how we use connection strings, SQLite, etc. We then spent some time building out unit tests for it to validate our application, then separated out the data layer for our application in a little bit more than we did originally. This was really breaking out the models differently so that our database didn't necessarily need to mirror the way our objects mirrored the application. Then spent a week or two exposing the application to a web API. We documented that web API. We then added painstakingly some authentication to it, more so painstakingly because we used a pretty much net new library to .NET for authentication using the new Microsoft Identity Platform. We then spent a week or two building out our first client to the app using ASP.NET Core MVC to interact with it. And spent a day or two migrating our SQLite database to SQL Server. And then the last couple of days, we've been messing around with moving it to the cloud. So in 3 parts, we essentially moved it to the cloud. Most of that was just some mistakes here and there that were made on the stream. We then added some application insights to get some really good metrics as to how the app is being used. Then spent the day with application logging, where we log both to database, application insights, as well as files. And yesterday's episode, we started migrating to Azure using Git. And if you were here yesterday, you notice we struggled a little bit with it. Most of that struggle was twofold. Some of it was just the way that I have the project set up, using a source directory where most of the projects and everything you see online have it where everything is in the root of the folder. So we had to get the semantics and syntax right. So if we look, we have this new deploy to Azure YAML, which triggers a couple different things. The first starts off with a restoration, then builds the product, then runs all of our test cases, then does a publish. And if you're here yesterday towards the very end, we were struggling because when we built it, or when we went and published, the application was failing to load on Azure. And as it turns out, it was because we had the name wrong. And not so much the name wrong, but we were trying to publish the entire solution, which had more than one application in it, as opposed to publishing this one file. So if we kind of look at the history of it, you'll see that, oh, not this version, I want to go back one more version. I changed the spelling of it. Where are you? Where's my commits history? I want to compare, I think it's this version with the previous version. Yeah, you see right here, our big change was this line right here. Instead of building the whole solution, we only wanted to build the web app. So now when we make a change, and let's pull up, we should have Writer loaded. We pull up Writer and make a change, it will go and deploy the change. Since we only have it in the web app, we're going to make a quick change to the web app to see. Let's go with views and home and index. We're going to change this. So let's do a quick check to make sure there's no smoke and mirrors and everything works. Coding with JoeG, contacts web, Azure websites. This might take a second unless someone was viewing it just before we were to load because we're using shared services, so it kind of closes. So this is the site. Let's go and change this welcome. And then we're going to check in that commit to see it going. So here it's welcome with GitHub Actions. So I am going to save this. And then we are going to commit the change. Testing GitHub Actions. Let's commit and push. Click push again because I want to click push after I click git and push. Remote change. Oh, I thought I did a pull. I'm sorry, I forgot to do a pull prior to. I did this before and everything's going to be all funky because I don't have changes. And I think I have to do Control Q, no, window Q. I just closed Writer. My bad. This happened to me last time. I forgot to pull down the latest version and I was making changes online with it to try it out, and I didn't do a pull to get the latest. So Writer, or not Writer, but Git was complaining that my changes are out of sync. So let's try and get the latest from here, and you can start in the background. cd projects / contacts git pull. Please commit your changes. Git revert. And I always forget the help syntax, so git revert. And then a number. Let's see if I can just do it with the UI. Where is it? I'm gonna roll back my changes. Git status, oops. Git status, everything should be good now. Stop it. Why is it building? I didn't build. I must hit, oh, I hit the play button on my touch bar. Git whole conflicts fixed, but you still need merging. Git commit main branch into that, blah, blah, blah. Line started with merge branch. I can never remember what the syntax is for this. I think it's Control S, or is it Q, I, nope. I can never remember how to get out of it. I'm going to a different screen. exit vim. Yeah, got out of it. Sweet. Now, okay, git add. Not that. Maybe you want to say, that's what I did say, git add dot. Now I should have everything in there, modified. Let's make sure that the API is still done. So where are you? Views, contacts. No, not contacts. Let's go to home. Index. Yep, that's done. So now we're going to do a git commit -m testing deploy on commit, and then do a git push. And now is accepted. So let's go to Git and take a look at it. When we click on our actions, we should see a new one, testing deploy on commit. And I will be there. Congrats, no small task. Thank you to Strato Davius. Do I know that person? Or do I know you? And what's no small task? Getting Git to working or remembering how to escape Vim? Because that seems to be where I have my biggest struggles. And welcome. Oh, David. Thanks. Yes. Welcome, David. It's hard to know everyone's screen names. Yes, I did some Git training at work. We're trying to level up some of our leaders on it. And I spent lots of time on the command line, told them whatever you do when you commit, always do space -m because you'll never remember how to escape Vim. I always have to Google it because I always forget. It's kind of a small penance. So you see the publish worked. Now it should be updating Azure by running this deploy. The package deployment using zip is going. Successfully deployed and told me I can go to that URL. So let's check that URL. We have it up on the screen. Hit refresh, and if I worked after a couple of seconds, because it has to reload the application in Azure, it should be good to go. There we go. Welcome to GitHub Actions. So now there's no right-click publish, no right-click deploy. All we have to do is commit, and now our GitHub action will go and take it to the world. Yay for that. Now we want to change it to deploy our web API. Now, granted, like I said yesterday, these would be best served in 2 different projects, but since they're in the same repository, they're going to use the same deployment. Now, we could separate it out and make it have one work versus the other, depending on branches and stuff like that, but I don't want to complicate it. The purpose of this is really just to show that you can do it. So let's go here and just add this existing file so we can manage it from within one IDE. So David, how things go with the newsletter? Are you getting more traction with it? I hope so. I really like the content for it. Why are you not working? Oh, it's not going to see the dot, I bet. It's probably not working. Yeah, pretty good. I appreciate that. Well, you're the one doing all hard work. I'm just giving you compliments. It's not seeing the secret hidden file. I have to check out why that is. In the meantime, I can open up Visual Studio Insiders, since that for whatever reason can see the folder. Oh no, my resume. Someone on Facebook reported that my resume had a bug in it online. So I went and fixed it earlier today. Not that I'm looking, but I always like to keep the resume semi-updated. So let me go and update contacts. I gotta look to see how I can get Writer to show me dot files. There's probably a setting somewhere. So this is our current version. I don't know why it's showing outdated, but I am going to pull. Oh, that's probably just me opening it from Writer. So what we want to do is kind of copy this out and do it for the API now. So let's paste this. And like I mentioned yesterday, the spacing in YAML matters. So let's call this publish web API. And then this was contacts. And what do we call it? I think it's just API. Yep. Contacts.api. Contacts.api. This name doesn't matter as much. This is just creating a temporary file. But since we have two of them going, I created a temporary file with different names. So this is correct. Now we just need to change this, which if I remember correctly is API. And then I think this is API. So let's just go and double check those to make sure. So first step is portal. While that's loading, we will go check on our secrets to make sure I got the name right. Secrets, web API publish profile, web API publish profile. So that's good. Now let's go and check the Azure app. I think the Azure app is right. JoeG contacts. Yeah, I just changed the API. So that should be good, and it should go and change out this. It's going to publish this and then deploy it. But let's change this to deploy web API, and then we should be good. So just to recap, actually, let's check it in and then I'll recap. So we get it. Git add dot. And then make sure I caught that because it's in a weird directory. Yes, it did. Git commit -m. Adding web API to deploy to Azure.yaml. Git push. So as soon as that's accepted, we should see that it's going. And let's double check you and make sure you're running, and then I'll go back and kind of recap. Yep. Added web API to deploy Azure. Oops, wrong window. So let's explain it one more time. So here we created two dummy paths. Ooh, I guess I could have changed that API. It should still build because it creates a generic file, but since I created two environment variables. On any time we push to a main branch or we trigger a pull request to the main branch, we want this job, which is going to run on the latest version of Ubuntu. It's going to first check out the latest version of the code, update or add in .NET version 3.1.301. Then it's going to restore all the dependencies and all the projects in the solution. And it's going to build the solution. And it's going to run our test cases in the solution. Assuming all those pass, it's going to publish the web API, which kind of generates the package for Azure. And then we deploy the web API with this step. Then we do the same for the web UI. We publish it and then we deploy it. And the publish in this sense is kind of like creating the bundle or building it. So based on current history, that should be just about done now. Ha! Perfect timing. It's now publishing the web API, which was successful. And everything was good. So if we refresh this and wait 10 seconds. How do you like Rider over JS? I'm one of those VS devs that hears good things. Oh, yeah, VS. It's funny, we were actually just chatting in work today about that. How do I like Visual Studio above Rider? And I've been a big ReSharper fan for, I don't know, 9-10 years, maybe a little bit longer. And I've really learned a lot from a software development standpoint with Rider or with JetBrains ReSharper. And because I'm using a Mac, it was a lot easier for me to pick up Rider. As I like to tell everyone, Rider is as if Visual Studio and ReSharper had a baby, and Rider was the offspring. I've been using it solely for, I want to say, since April now, so 3 months solid. I've only opened up Visual Studio, honestly, to apply updates. Rider has everything I need except for one thing that I found in the stream the other day. The support or lack thereof for application insights is missing, but everything else is, from what I've seen, has just been far superior. And in all honesty, there's lots of reasons for that. Visual Studio is old, just like anything. It gets slower with age, but it also, Rider learned a lot from Visual Studio, and in all honesty, it's significantly better. The thing I really like about it is, and I might sound like a salesperson, I don't work for JetBrains, nor do I work for any of their affiliates. I am, however, on their insiders list, which gets me access to things ahead of time for some people. But what I really like about it is that this one IDE is really not one IDE. It's really IntelliJ. It's a Java platform that has PHP, Golang, RubyMine, Rider, PyCharm, kind of all built on it. So they made an IDE which has different flavors. If you are curious about it, if you go to the very beginning on this context site, I actually did like a 45-minute intro to it. And I'm wanting to actually do another one now that I'm 3 months into it on, a more, I guess, improved version of it. Now that I know a lot more about it, and most of my blog posts have been written around using it. So now that it's working, I'm going to hit refresh, and we shouldn't see anything change on here because I didn't change anything in the UI. And the contacts app still fails, and that fails as a result of the cookie scenario that we've talked about on previous things. That's going to probably be tomorrow's fix to implement the token refresh. Once you delete the cookies and come back, it works fine. So this should show our newest version of the contacts in a second once the authentication passes. takes time the first time, and now we have it. So to show that we're using a new version without logging into the portal, I'm going to change the API here to ignore anytime we see Brady or the ID 38, just to show that our changes are real. Sorry, Brady. Keep picking on him if you've watched the stream or the video a lot. Hopefully he's not even on the chat. No, there's only 2 viewers, and Brady's probably not one of them. So let's go here, and this is the call to get contacts, and just to tweak it, we're going to do contacts equals, and then contacts dot remove, and no, I don't want to do C dot, hey, why are you not working? The contacts, hey, you should be working. Oh, the wrong thing. Actually, why don't we just add a new contact to it? Contacts dot add new contact, and then we'll do first name equals David. This is what you get, David, when you join the stream and say hello. You get picked on, and I add you to things. You can tell the last time Brady was on it. And I think I have to give it an ID, just because equals 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's return contacts. And this is actually only adding it here. It's not adding it to the database. So let's do a get pull. Should have the latest, but now I'm kind of gun shy. Get commit, or actually let's not commit it. Let's go back and change this so we can show that both of them are different. If you are actually going to try Writer, let me know what you think. I've always looking for feedback. I think in the last couple of weeks that I've been using, I submitted like 7 or 8 different issues, and the team is super responsive for it. Git add, git commit -m, testing out the deploy. Git push. Now we swap back and come back here, do the actions, and wait about a minute for this to work. The next thing we're going to do is figure out how we could add this to it. Oh, it actually looks pretty simple. Copy. Cool. I'm going to add that into the next thing. Let's check out this build. I want to also get the status of the test cases. And we'll probably go and show that if we have a test that fails, it's going to fail the build. This is going So David, not to pick on you, but it's normally not someone that actually responds back when I'm in here. Did you get a chance to watch the board of directors interviews? And you can be honest. Just curious what your thoughts were on mine. Been soliciting feedback just to see what others think about it. And it's almost done publishing. It's done publishing, so let's go and refresh this. Thank you. I gotta not wear this shirt on stream days. I look so red. Yes, I know. Damn cookies. Tomorrow's stream, or Thursday's stream, is going to be based on fixing that error. It's annoying. Might as well go home and see, or go to the home page. Yep, we got the welcome, so remove the Git actions. Now, if my API and I didn't break the code, this API should return back David in there. Once the authentication happens, yep, and there he is, David Brock. And if I click on 1, 2, 3, 4, we should get a failure because that user ID doesn't really exist. And we do, which is cool. Great. So now we can see that it actually works and everything is hunky-dory. So let's go and undo the editing of David. Sorry, David, you're no longer one of my contacts. The sad moment. Ain't that the truth for all of us, not just you, my friend. I spend most of my stream breaking code, it seems. That's a lot of Control Z's there. I should have just did this. Da, 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 da. Or just roll back the code. Nope, didn't want to do that. Return. So that's there. Let's do one more test to make sure that if one of the unit tests fail, it breaks. So this says get contact with an invalid ID should return null. So let's change this and give it a valid ID, which I believe 1 is a valid ID. And we are going to add that back in and git commit minus m verifying that the build breaks with a failed test. While that's going, I am going to add, no, let's do it to the README. The README, the one I want, I think that's the main contact one. Yep. Let's add the build status to this. Da, da. Build status. Oops. I have to recopy the text because hey, where'd you go? Copy. And let's paste you there. Nice. Now let's check our builds. Testing out the, did I not commit the last one? Git push. I edited it but didn't push it. Silly me. Now it should be here. Now this should fail and give us a big red X. Let's see if I can get another status event. Working. Schedule, status, project car, milestones, fork deployment. What does status tell us? Oh, not what I want. Project. No, that doesn't do anything for me. We'll take a look at that. GitHub action test run status. Oh, if you look, the little Git icon turned yellow. I wonder if that means it's still running. Yeah, it's still running. Ooh. Well, I guess I didn't break the actual test. Yep, I didn't break the actual test. Oops, it's not a good test then. Thought that would have broken it. Oh well. I'll have to find a real test that breaks it. Let's go back to controller test. Any number less than 0. Make sure that test works. Get a valid ID should return. Oh, these are using mocks. That's why they're passing, because this just returns back. That's, well, I'm gonna add the other one back and then we'll fix it. Git add git commit -m adding build status to readme git push. Now our readme file should be updated. Now if we want this to fail, I can just do this and then do a assert dot, not all, assert dot is true, assert true, and false. And why are you complaining? No, okay. Git add, git commit, broke unit test on purpose, git push. Let's see what it does here, because now there are 2. Probably should queue up the other one. Yeah, the other one's not there yet. So this one is queued because this one is in progress. So the good news is once, well, that one should already be fixed. So if I refresh this, oh, it's got to wait for this to finish now. And then it should be available. The other one's fixed, so now if I refresh this, did I not add it? I thought I added it. Oh, did I add it to the wrong spot? Yeah, this hasn't changed. I didn't actually commit that file. My bad. It's a problem with using the git add. It only works in the local directory, and that had one directory up. So let me find that readme. It is there. but yeah, it's not checked in. Blah. Oh, I got an email, which means that the build probably failed. Let's go check our actions. Yep, the build failed, and it should have failed right on the test. So let's see where it failed. Yep, it failed on the test, and it should have been that first test somewhere in here, and this long line of messages will tell us what tests failed. Wow, there's a lot of messages there. It just keeps going and going. Where is it? Logic test, manager test. There it is. With a invalid ID should return null. That was the one that failed. Actually, no, this was with an invalid ID should return null. It failed. So yes, the build didn't continue as a result. So let us fix that again. And I want to keep you, delete you, save it, git add dot, git commit, fix broken test, git push, git status. Hey, why don't you see the README file? Oh, because I'm in source. cd dot dot git status. Oh, it is up to date. Why did you not update that? Unless I just added it now. Structure, commit. Yeah, must have just added it now. So let's go back here. Hit refresh. Ah, there's the last status. It failed, which is good because it did fail. So let's wait for this to pass. Now we fix the broken unit test. And then we should be good. Tests are running. All the tests passed. Now it's deploying. Let's see if this updates while it's still deploying. Yeah, I didn't think it would because it's got to finish the whole build before it updates the status, which is why this little bad boy, I don't know if you can see it or not, has a yellow dot to tell me that it's building. Now it's green, so this should be green. Now it's green, so this should be green. There must be a delay in updating it. Let's check another file, then come back to the README. Don't do anything with the action. I don't think I do. It might just take a couple seconds before that is updated. Or it could be just the fact that I am cached. Or I can click here, check on the code. It's still marked as failing. I wonder why. I'm guessing it takes, oh, now it's passed. It just probably takes some time for it to synchronize. I can't imagine going back and forth that often. So got the build status going. We validated that it works. Let's delete the cookies and make sure David is gone, at least from here, but he comes back to the stream at some point in time. And hit refresh, wait a week to 10 days for authentication to re-happen. And then oh, what happened? What happened? Did I not comment back in the code? I don't want to see that. That's a mess. Contacts controller return. That should work. Let me see the history of this. And that was a change we added. We added logger yesterday. It should return away contact manager get syntax. And what do we have now? Return away contact manager get contacts. That should work. Wonder what the error is. Let's make sure that it's just not all me being cached again. So let's go to cookies and remove them all. Hit reload. And the good thing is we added logging and stuff, so we should be able to see if there are actual errors. There it goes. It was just probably a cache version of the page. So now we're up and running and we got the builds working. We added a badge, which at some point will refresh. Yes, it refreshed there. Wonder how we can add, since we've got a couple of minutes left. Add the run. Thank you. It didn't work so easy yesterday, but I figured it out. Yeah, that's not what I wanted. GitHub Actions. GitHub Action test results badge. Adding a status badge. Huh. Let's see what it says. GitHub Actions are still in beta. Yeah. I want more than that though. I don't want this stat. I want the status of the run. Ending a work status badge. It might not actually be applicable. GitHub owner repository work. Yeah, that's just the workflow. That's not the individual test. Oh well. Markdown pulls a badge that displays status. The workflow runs by pull trigger. Yeah, that's not what I want to do. Oh well. I was hoping I can display the unit test. I know that there is something that I've been looking at for my GitHub README called shields.io, which has code coverage badges, but it works in everything but GitHub. So maybe I could publish these to Azure DevOps and take a look at it or run it elsewhere. Builds it has for just about everything. Here, it doesn't have the test cases. So I could add how many stars we have and that kind of stuff, but I don't know if that's any value. I do want to add this to my website, so I'm going to come back to you. I think that was just about it with it. now I think Thursday our stream will be focused on getting rid of that error and using the SQL Server token that will clear up a lot of the mess of our authentication. And at that point, our app is really done. I'll probably spend the next week or two doing different enhancements, like showing what we can do to add a picture. Because like right now, if you go and view an image, you'll see a canned picture which just displays the URL for it. But we might look at how we can upload a picture from here, store it in Azure Blob Storage, maybe run a job to create a thumbnail, and then display that and show how our code really changes or barely changes to do any of that. But that is all we have for today. For those that are new, welcome, and hopefully you'll come back again when my face is not so red. It's probably because I got all these white lights on. I start adjusting the lights or pulling on more dark screens, like switching this to dark. The lighting is better in here. My face doesn't look so red on screen. Yes, it is the Arizona heat. It's actually just this shirt. Whenever I wear this shirt, the camera kind of picks up all the colors. I'm usually not this red. But thanks for joining. I'll chat with you, ladies and gents, next time.